Tobago. Of course, we're coming to you live from the Magdalena Grand, and we are inside the Robinson Crusoe Cave, and you will hear a little more about that location later on this morning. I continue having an interesting conversation with our councillor from the minority side of Tobago House of Assembly, Mrs. Petal, Benoit. And we're just wrapping up that topic about 100 days in governance. You know, for those of you who may not be from Trinidad and Tobago, we do have a new sitting Prime Minister, and it's just about just over now 100 days that she and her colleagues have been sitting in office. One of the things I wanted to raise, because, you know, viewers are sharing their comments as well, and we have a viewer who's asking, what about the Ministry of Tobago Development? I guess they are looking at that as one of the areas where people were dismissed, etc., you know, after having the PNM come in. So what's your take on that?
Under the Ministry of Tobago Development back then, there were some controversial matters that would have come to hand. And one of the things that was very clear on the campaign trail in 2015 is that the government will seek to do something with the Ministry of Tobago Development, because we know there were some complaints from the past Tobago House of Assembly that the Ministry of Tobago Development was infringing on some of its rights, and they were doing things that the then Tobago House of Assembly thought that was under the fifth schedule and was not in keeping with the Tobago House of Assembly Act. And I think on many occasions there were battles in the public domain between the Tobago House of Assembly and the then Ministry of Tobago Development. And one of the campaign promises on the PNM's platform is that if elected, the PNM will do something about the Ministry of Tobago Development. And clear plans was set on the campaign trail about what will happen to the Ministry of Tobago Development. So it's not that it was a secret about what the intention or what the policy direction would have been for the Ministry of Tobago Development. And based on what was articulated, people voted for the People's National Movement government to come in place in 2015. And again, based on the manifesto promise and the policies that were set out on the campaign trail for that election, the PNM would have executed what it promises. So there was no secret about what would have transpired then between the Tobago House of Assembly and the Ministry of Tobago Development, and there was no secret about what the policy direction would have been if elected with the Ministry of Tobago Development.
Right, and of course I want us to switch gear and look at Independence Day in Trinidad and Tobago. So historically, before we went to the break, historically, one of the major events we looked forward to is our parade. Trinidad's parade, Tobago's parade. And, you know, I even saw in recent time that some Trinis were coming over because they said they like Trinidad has maybe a greater pomp and ceremony, but there's something more intimate about the Tobago parade. And, you know, you're right there. And, you know, they just have a grand time and started recently coming for Tobago's parade because of the experience. But we are not going to have it because we are in a state of emergency and the government saw it fit that having such an event may interrupt the flow of how things are being handled on the protective services side. My two boys are quite disappointed,
I think,
right? And I know many of us are disappointed, but it is what it is. Now, where you sit, of course, and I know people are also talking about how it would affect us, the economic side, the social side. But I also saw in Tobago, because I'm not sure what's happening in Trinidad, but I saw a full day of activity for people in Tobago. So while the parade may not be there, you know, I saw a bike race, I saw a marathon, I see we're having, you know, the Esplanade is going to be busy. And of course, it's designated as a day of prayer. So I saw that on the calendar for that day, there's a prayer service and then there's a gospel concert in the evening. And even I think, movies in the Botanic.
Yes.
So although we have that removed, it seems as though the Tobago House of Assembly and other private entities, because some of these were on the calendar even before this announcement that this is taking place. But there's still the fallout that there is no parade. Let's hear your take on that.
Well, of course. I think generally Trinidad and Tobago is disappointed.
Yes.
Because we celebrate our independence, and this year would be our 63rd independence.
Yes. Yeah.
We celebrate our independence with our military parade. Everybody come out for the pomp and flair of the parade. They line the streets, and they experience that what we call Trinidad and Tobago independence. So for the first time, well, I think we did not have it during COVID.
Yes, correct.
But outside of COVID, this has been the first time that Trinidad and Tobago will not have that type of celebration. And some weeks ago, I was uptown Scarborough, and I was hearing a band coming through the streets.
Yes.
And I think it was the Boys Brigade, and they were practicing, of course, for what is normally the Independence Day parade. And I'm sure all the military and paramilitary groups were in full preparation for how we usually celebrate. So it is disappointing. And yes, I see that the Tobago House of Assembly has a full calendar of events. I think it was released yesterday. I saw it yesterday. So I don't think that is any compensation for how we would normally celebrate.
Right.
But I wish all the activities its full success. I think I heard somewhere through the grapevines that there would be something in the streets.
Okay.
Put on by probably the paramilitary groups.
Okay.
That is yet to be confirmed. But I also want to speak to the whole economic issue, because a lot of people look forward to coming to ply their trade.
Right.
Selling snow cones, selling, hot dogs, selling paraphernalia, because of course on that day people will want to buy the Trinidad and Tobago flags, the bandanas, whatever that
if
was.
If we don't remember the red, white and black on that day. Right.
Yes. And I think it was a real means of creating economic activity, both in Trinidad and Tobago. So of course that will be lost in the most. Yes, we are having the other activities, but I don't think the economic activity that is created surrounding our typical Independence Day celebration will be there. And again, people look forward to the fireworks in the night. So after you go through the full day's activities, looking on at the parade, lining the streets for when they come through the streets, from parades going to Scarborough or from Queen's Park to Port of Spain, going home, resting up, coming back in the evening to witness that fireworks, which also again is another anticipated activity and again we will see persons plying their trade and again greater economic activity. I don't think that will be present this year, so that is also another disappointing feat. But I wish all the activities of the Tobago House of Assembly, I wish them all the best, and I hope that they are a success.
And, you mentioned the Boys Brigade, and I also saw and heard the Pathfinder band practicing. And when the announcement was made, I actually thought of the Pathfinder band and Boys Brigade, and I'm like, they will be so disappointed because that's a big thing for them.
I saw them practicing. I actually witnessed them practicing in the streets of Scarborough Uptown like twice during the period. So I was up there for a meeting, and they were coming through the street, going around the Tambourine, that car park up Scarborough there, Tambourine Square. And I could just imagine how disappointing they were to hear that.
But
there will be no parade this year.
Sometimes decisions are made, and with the public, we would have our opinions. And even though the government may present, sometimes we really don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. And though many of us are disappointed, and we would come up with all the ways this may have been handled, sometimes we just have to go along and really hope that the decision works out in the best interest for our nation. So, rules, we are in a state of emergency, and it's not your typical state of emergency that some other countries may have, because you do have different levels and different forms. So we are still free to move about. I had a friend call me, Trinidad and Tobago is in a state of emergency, and I have a friend telling me this, and I say, no, you wouldn't, if you land here, you wouldn't even know that. You know, it just gives the army arresting powers, etc. And of course, you know, certain rights are not in place, but the average citizen is not really impacted like how you may see it in other countries. So I know we are disappointed, but it's a day you can still spend time with your family. In Tobago, there is a calendar of events, many things taking place, whether you just choose to be with your own family on the beach. Let's adhere to the guidelines, you know, put out there first. Let's not get ourselves in trouble. And of course, you know, remember to rep the red, white, and black, not just on Independence Day. We are a people who, we don't understand what loyalty is to our country, you know. We just want to get, but what are we giving? So take it as a day really to reflect on what you can do for your country. What are you doing? What are you doing to contribute to your immediate neighborhood? You know, and not just saying, well, the boys on the block, because all of us can contribute. How are you raising your children? Are you raising them to be productive citizens, you know, forward thinking, and not just looking for a government work, but be entrepreneurs, create something, build, and really grow so that Trinidad and Tobago can continue to take its place in this world and really be above the rest. So just think about it. That's just my little opinion on how things work sometimes, but I want to thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing as we looked at the first 100 days and even, you know, chatting about how we feel about this independence shake-up, if I could call it that, because it is that for some of us, you know. So of course, viewers, let me remind you, we are at the Magdalena Grand this morning, the Robinson Crusoe Cave, and when we return, we will chat with Rhea Sampson, event coordinator, and she'll tell us something about this space we are in. So we're going to a quick break, and I want to remind you about books and office supplies. They will be open this Sunday, the Monday, which is the Independence Day holiday, and of course on September 7th, that's the Sunday before school reopens. So check them out, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And of course, they are waiting for you to come down so that they can supply you with all your back to school needs.